Hello gamers, it is MtG here, back with another Magic video, and this is the second video in my Challenger decks for 2020 series. And so if you are new to the channel and you want to see the rest of those or the previous one, do subscribe and hit notifications so you know when those come out, of course. But this is the mono red Cavalcade charge deck. And these decks are going to be actually released for purchase on April 3rd of 2020, so that's a while from now. But now that they've been announced, the deck lists are released, I felt like I should go ahead and play them so that people can be aware of what's in them, how they're going to play in the meta, so that you can be the most logical consumer, most well-informed consumer of Magic products. So this is mono red, and again, so one thing I've been surprised by with these decks, and I said it in the last video, normally Challenger decks take an archetype that is strong in the meta, or was really strong like a month previous in the meta. So this is kind of the deck that was running around in Throne of Eldraine, but is still definitely kicking around right now. I think World Championship was just won with a mono red that is quite different from this, but it's still similar. Anyway, they usually take those archetypes and they basically strip the best version of that deck of like some of its really powerful stuff, the really expensive cards, but they keep the archetype. You know, they build around that and use some budget constraints, and usually it's a little bit less consistent than a super competitive deck would be. But what I've seen from these decks so far is that they're putting in a lot more play sets of cards into these Challenger decks this year than I would normally expect. Aside from maybe the Jeskai Fires, I think that one suffers a little bit more from the price issue, because they got to keep all the prices of these decks fairly similar, right? The power level is fairly similar, so normally you don't see this many rares, but these are somewhat cheap rares compared to a lot of the other cards that are going around in the meta right now. So anyway, let's actually jump in and talk about this deck. If you have your head under a rock, you have probably never seen the Cavalcade of Calamity card. So most of you will have seen this card. It's been around since Ravnica Allegiance, and whenever a creature you control with power 1 or less attacks, Cavalcade of Calamity deals 1 damage to the player or planeswalker that creature is attacking. Now, this is a way to get a lot of extra damage out of your little 1/1 creatures, and so it pairs well with Chandra, Acolyte of Flame, who can produce 2 1/1 red elemental creature tokens at the beginning or on your turn, and then you sack them at the beginning of the next end step. So this is a very nice pairing for sure, because if you have Cavalcade and Chandra down, you can just attack and get that damage, and even if your opponent has blockers, you still are dealing damage with Cavalcade of Calamity. Now, again, we've had another piece since then that has been really making this deck spicy, and that is Torbran, Thane of Red Fell. This is a 2/4 legendary dwarf noble for 4 mana, and it says if a red source you control would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage plus 2 instead. So this is our turn 4 or 5 bomb that's going to win us the game, and hopefully win us the game like immediately or really quickly before we can get board wiped and reset. This obviously, so Cavalcade of Calamity deals 1 damage whenever a creature with power 1 or less attacks, and then Torbran is going to turn that 1 damage into 3 damage, and so if we're pinging this a lot, this is just going to be a game win, right? Like right there. Even if you have just a couple of 1/1s attacking, this wins you the game if you've been able to poke your opponent down substantially before that. So let's look at our 1/1 creatures that we're running in this deck. We have obviously Scorch Spitter, who does the same thing as Cavalcade of Calamity, right? Whenever it attacks, it deals 1 damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking. That's really nice with this deck. We also have 10 Street Dodger, which is also pretty good. Serves a nice purpose of making itself unblockable, which again is good with Torbran. If you need to get just a little bit of damage through, 10 Street Dodger can be really nice, because you can activate the ability, can't be blocked this turn except by creatures with Defender, so this is pretty good. And then we have Fervent Champion, which is another one from Throne of Eldraine. This is a first strike, haste, 1/1 creature, or 1/1 human knight, and which pairs really well with Embercleave, which we'll talk about in just a second. But this is another 1/1, it's a good starter creature to get a lot of 1/1s out on the board. That's what we want to do. And then we have Runaway Steamkin again. This is also a 1/1, but most of the time we want this to be a little bit more powerful. Obviously, we can use it as an attacker, but the biggest thing this is going to do is generate extra mana for us by casting red spells. We put counters on this, and then we can remove 3 of those counters to add 3 red mana. So that's one of the ways we can get away with playing a lot fewer lands than normal, is because we have another way to generate mana as kind of a byproduct of casting a lot of red spells. But of course, since this is aggro, we're only going to be running 21 lands. there's an argument to be made for cutting it a little bit more and bumping up the curve toward like the 1 drops and 2 drops, but I think 21 seems great, because especially since we're running a 4 drop, that's very important. We want to make sure we can hit this on turn 5 or so. Even if we miss 1 land drop early, it's fine because we can usually win on turn 5 or something with a Torbran. Other stuff we need to talk about. Embercleave. We are running 1 Embercleave in this, and of course they couldn't drop in 4 Embercleaves because this is a very expensive card. And so if you're just looking for straight value, this deck seems okay to me. Embercleave is a great card. It pairs very nicely with Fervent Champion, but also you equip it to a creature you control when it enters the battlefield. So you don't always have to cast that or spend that equip cost, but running Fervent Champion makes this nice, of course, because you can then equip it for free to Fervent Champion, even if what you originally equipped it to dies. And then, if you don't know what Embercleave is, it is a legendary artifact. It costs 6 mana, but this spell costs 1 less to cast for each attacking creature you control, so that's pretty good. And you can flash it in, so you can use it as a combat trick effectively. It's a really, really nice game winner card, again, alongside Torbran, or on its own, this is a good game winner. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has double strike and trample, so that is very, very good. And then other stuff we're running are Bone Crusher Giant, which is great. It's an adventure spell, deals 2 damage, essentially an expensive shock plus a 4/3. So it's really, really, really good. And then we have Light Up the Stage here to draw some extra cards, which is good. And I think the only one I've not talked about is Rimrock Knight. This is a 3/1 that can't block, and you can use its adventure spell to give something +2/+0. Now, we are going to be playing this in best of 1, so you're not going to be able to see the sideboard in action. I may make a later video on that, but I will touch on it briefly now. If you want to skip to the gameplay, you can go ahead and do that. The timestamp should be in the comments below. Let's talk about this. So we have Satyr's Cunning in here, which is a card I really strongly dislike. So I think the reason they put this in here is because obviously, well, it creates a 1/1 red Satyr creature token, which is fine. It's just a vanilla 1/1 token. And it's a sorcery spell, and I think the main reason they put this in here is because they want to get a Theros Beyond Death card in this deck, and this is the only Theros Beyond Death card, I think. Like, everything else is from Throne of Eldraine or earlier, and this is a Theros card, so that's nice, of course. But I find most, like, I'm not real sure what matchup you would sideboard this in on, unless you were like, okay, we gotta really push our curve up to the start, get a ton of 1/1s and just win with Cavalcade. I guess I can see it in that scenario. Then we have Shocks, so if the opponent's playing stuff you want to remove on turn 1 or 2, Shocks are great for that. Or just to ping your opponent, get that burn damage in, is good. Slaying Fires is pretty similar. Like, if your opponent is playing stuff that you need to deal 4 damage to kill, to get out of the way for your attackers, Slaying Fire is pretty nice. Then we have Tibalt, Rakish Instigator, which is good against life gain decks, and it can produce 1/1s, which is also kind of synergizes with Cavalcade of Calamity and Torbran. So it's pretty nice. I would consider putting more of this in your sideboard, because I think Tibalt is very good against certain decks, obviously against life gain decks, but if life gain is not really a thing in the meta, you probably won't need to play it that much, so maybe 2 is just fine. And then Experimental Frenzy is a good card to help you see more cards. So if you're running into trouble where you, you're running out of cards, essentially, Experimental Frenzy is pretty nice. So I think that's all I'm going to talk about. Let's go ahead and get into the gameplay for this. I'm going to be taking this into the ranked queue. I should point out that I am in like silver something right now because the season reset. I haven't played a ton of ranked since the season reset. So we are in silver, so it's not going to be like, we shouldn't be facing like, world championship style decks. But if we do, that's, we'll deal with that accordingly. Okay, this is actually a very, very good start, especially since we go first, so we can get Scorch Spitter down and then Cavalcade of Calamity. Yeah, we'll keep this. We go Scorch Spitter, Cavalcade, and then followed by 10th Street Dodger or Rimrock Knight. I do have a little bit of an issue with playing Rimrock Knight in this deck. I don't love it. I guess I sort of see the value in it because it, it can buff a creature. It is a 1/3, so it's an aggressive body. It's an aggressive 2-drop, but I just really don't love that since it's not a 1. It doesn't have 1 power. We have to exile a card here. Okay. Honestly, kind of think we exile Rimrock Knight. I think this is the least useful card. I want to keep Bone Crusher Giant because I kinda... Okay, we get another Rimrock Knight. I was looking for a land right there, but I think this is possibly okay. What I'm gonna do is go 10 Street Dodger. I'm gonna attack, get some damage in. They can't really afford to use Witch's Oven because they need to use Yarok's Fin Lurker to block. But I'm gonna go ahead and just attack straight up. We deal a decent amount of damage, and then I can light up the stage to try to get another land here. Okay, yeah, let's go to blockers. See what happens. I'm wondering if they actually sack this to Witch's Oven. I doubt it, right? They take this. They take this trade. Yeah, that makes sense. They take the trade. We go light up the stage. Fingers crossed for a land. Yes, a mountain and a 10 Street Dodger, which is really nice. So the worst play we could run into right here is a Cry of the Carnarium, which it looks like they're playing Mono Black Devotion. So yeah, Ayara First of Walk Lane is a fine card to see right here. Not the end of the world by any means. Let us go... We could potentially sort of like... We could attack with 10 Street Dodgers, Combat Trick. Okay, yeah, I think that's what we do. We go attack with 10 Street Dodgers. We don't make them unblockable because we want them to block one of them. And then we'll kill Ayara because Ayara is a way that they can gain life, and we really need to get rid of that. So let's go to blockers first. Okay, question becomes now. I think I don't play Bone Crusher because if I play Bone Crusher and then they Witch's Oven, then I lose my Bone Crusher Giant altogether. So I think we go Rimrock Knight, give this +2/+0. So it will kill Ayara if they let the block go through. But of course it's possible they'll just Witch's Oven here. Oh, okay, they actually take the trade, which is okay. That's okay with me. We'll go ahead and play Rimrock Knight out here instead of playing Scorch Spitter. We're in a pretty solid place, except that I feel like they probably have a lot of gas in their hand. Okay, Rankle Master of Pranks. He's going to probably attack? Or no? Yes, he attacks. Does he force me to sack a creature? If he sacks a creature, he has to sack a creature too. I'm guessing he just makes me discard a card. Ooh, we discard a card and sack a creature. Okay, so I'll discard Scorch Spitter. They have to sacrifice Rankle Master of Pranks. I will sacrifice... Honestly, I think I sack Rimrock Knight. I think 10 Street Dodger does more work for me. Dang. Okay, we don't have the land to play Torbran, which is a little stinky. And then I'm just going to hold on to Bone Crusher. And fingers crossed we can get a Torbran. Okay, Dread Presence. That could be problematic for sure. Because if they play Swamp here, yeah, that's not great. That's not great. You don't see Dread Presence going around a whole lot. So we lose that. They go to 11, which is a little bit of a scary place to be. I guess we'll pass to the end of their turn, and then I'm just going to go damage to the face. Because I can't kill Dread Presence, but we do want to keep burning them down. Okay, we'll go Bone Crusher here. That's fine with me. The good news is they're running out of resources just like I am, but the bad news is they have ways to draw cards. But if they draw a card, they're going to lose a life. So, the biggest issue here, I think we get rid of Rimrock Knight again. It's just the weaker card because I want to have Torbran, but we do have to draw land to get Torbran onto the field. So that's a yikes. Okay, so they dealt damage to the face, gained some life. There we go. There we go. Okay. Let us consider our options. I think we attack, right? Because if we attack, we force them to block with Dread Presence, and Dread Presence is the only way they really stay in the game here. So I think we've got to play aggressive. Or if they block with Yarok's Fin Lurker, that's fine. Because that just trades. Yeah, they passed to blockers already, so they got to declare the block before they draw a card. I'm guessing they just Witch's Oven. It's cool with me. And they draw a card, and they lose a life, so they're playing... they got to pick up some cards here if they want to make that worthwhile. Bad news is they have food, so they can gain life again, and they can do probably the same thing. They can ping me, gain some life to stay in the game. Oh, Gray Merchant. That's rough. They gain life off of that. Okay. So, this is very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Ooh, nice. 10th Street Dodger is a really nice play here. So we can do a ton of damage with that. We'll go to combat, and then we'll make this unblockable. And I'm going to attack with you as well. Gotta think. Yeah, I can't attack with Torbran or we lose too much value. Before we pass to blockers, I gotta make him unblockable, or we're gonna be in trouble. Yeah, we'll activate that. So we definitely get 3 damage in with 10th Street Dodger. And I'm assuming they block with Gray Merchant and then sack it to Witch's Oven, and they just start sacking food to gain life, which we're not in a great position because they can generate so much value with Dread Presence, and we don't really have a way to get through right now. That was an interesting choice. I felt certain they were going to block with Gray Merchant, but they decided against that. But they can gain some life, so we're in a pretty good spot, right? Like, there's a lot of things we can draw to win. If we draw Chandra, Acolyte of Flame, it's probably just game over. Okay, yeah, so they killed 10th Street Dodger. And then... Okay, draw a card. This could be punishing, potentially. Ayara is actually really bad, so we've got to get rid of her quickly before they draw another Gray Merchant. Torbran... That is the worst thing we could have drawn. I think we actually we lose this game now, just because of Dread Presence they've been drawing swamps, generating a ton of value with Dread Presence, and we just haven't been able to keep up. Yeah, so let's think about this. Is there a way I could win? Because I think they just... I think I gotta pass here, because if I guess I could. There's a lot of ways they also win. So let's attack with Bone Crusher Giant. Because they have to be scared of what I've got in my hand. They've got to be scared enough to do something, right? So I think they've got to block with Gray Merchant, which gives me a decent advantage. And they can't sack it with Ayara. Double blocking. That's really interesting. Okay, double blocking. That's 7, and I can just Castle Embereth. Okay, yeah, that's fine. We're going to go tap that. This gets +1/+0, so I can kill them both with the buff from Castle Embereth and from Torbran. They'll both die, but I lose my Giant. So that actually turned out okay. It keeps me in the game for at least one more turn. But the problem is if they... Yeah, Cauldron Familiar was what I was really scared of, and I'm really glad they double blocked on that. Because Cauldron Familiar would have ended my whole career. Witch's Oven, so they just sack a bunch of Cauldron Familiar over and over again. I can't really do much. Okay, I think that's game. I'll just go ahead and concede so we can move on. That was like we got close to winning. If they hadn't been able to gain so much life, we would have been a lot better off. That's one of those games where we have a lot of stuff where in our sideboard actually that helps with that matchup. Like Slaying Fire would have helped with that a lot. Tibalt would have helped with that matchup a lot because that's a deck that wants to gain a lot of life. So yeah, we have stuff on our sideboard to deal with that in a best of 3, but in a best of 1 we actually kind of suffer. Even though we did have a pretty good start, maybe I just played it. It's possible I played it a little too aggressive there, but you know, I did my best. I'm not an expert on the deck yet. I'm pretty much playing it for the first time today. So I did do a practice game earlier to kind of get some under my belt. This is a good hand actually. We got Scorch Spitter turn 1, and then we've got, you know, the world is our oyster after that. So I like seeing Chandra Acolyte of Flame. Generates tons of damage with Cavalcade of Calamity. Okay, they shock that in. Lovestruck Beast. Okay, so I'll actually go... I'm going to Bone Crush that just to get it out of the way so I can attack with Scorch Spitter and not lose anything. And so they've actually taken 4 damage because they decided to shock this in. And then we can either play Bone Crusher Giant or Chandra next turn. Either one works great. Okay, so this is Bant. Probably Bant tokens. So I would be surprised if they didn't have a way to gain life here. Paradise Druid. Very interesting. Against Paradise Druid, I think I go Chandra. And I'm going to attack all, so they actually lose a lot if they decide to block here. But if they don't block, they take a ton of damage. So, yeah, we just do that. That's fine with me. I guess it's an issue, potentially, if they attack with Paradise Druid. But now that I'm thinking about it, this might be an enchantment deck, so they may just be going Voltron on Paradise Druid. No, they are not. Okay. Very, very interesting. What we really seriously need is a Cavalcade of Calamities if we want to win this. But I'm like, we're okay. We're in a very decent spot here. Alright, so we'll go... We'll just do that.
Don't worry, I brought company.
Attack with these two. So they block one of them with Lovestruck Beast, I assume. We don't have enough buffing to kill Lovestruck Beast, though that would be nice. Go to damage. And then I will Bone Crusher and Scorch Spitter to set up the board for a pretty devastating turn 4, depending on what we draw. Even if we don't draw anything good, we still have a really strong turn 4. So I think we're going to be alright. We're going to be alright. Now, what would they play on their turn? Or I meant turn 5, because this was turn 4. And what would they play on their turn 4? Probably going to try to produce a 1/1 to let Lovestruck Beast attack. Fabled Passage, that gets them probably another Plains, possibly another Forest. If they get a Forest, that means they probably need 2 green mana sources to cast something, which maybe Nissu Shakes the World. That's pretty terrible. But we can recover from that for sure. Excuse me. If they attack with Breeding Pool, I'm gonna block with Bone Crusher Giant, so I don't think they attack. Okay, no attacks. Fervent Champion doesn't do a ton for me. So we gotta try to just blow them up here. How much damage can we do? So if we go Chandra, makes 2 tokens. We can actually do quite a bit here because we can go Fervent Champion, attack with a bunch of nonsense. So we just attack all here. We got to play really aggressive if we want to kill him. And we don't even worry about Nissa because we got to kill him before we do anything else really. Okay, so yeah, 6 attackers. Blah blah blah. They take 2 from the Scorch Spitters. So the thing is, they're gonna want to block Bone Crusher to not take 4 damage from that. But they also are gonna want to block Scorch Spitters to not have to take more damage from them next turn. So they block with Bone Crusher, and they block a Scorch Spitter. Okay, the question is, to me, do I buff the Bone Crusher to kill Lovestruck Beast, get it out of the way? Do I buff... I think I buff Scorch Spitter to get the Breeding Pool out of the way. Yeah, we'll do that. It's possible they have something they can cast to protect their stuff. Or, yeah, because they've got 2 mana available. Brazen Borrower returns that, so that's terrible. That actually goes to my graveyard. Okay, didn't expect them to have a Brazen Borrower there. Now we go Scorch Spitter. And they keep their Breeding Pool. So we're not in a very good position now. We needed to get rid of one of those. That was an unfortunate combat trick that they had. And not drawing Cavalcade of Calamity or Torbran has been really not great. So, yeah. Uro, yep, they gained 3 life off of that. That's pretty cool, pretty cool. And they put a land on the battlefield, maybe. Did they miss a land drop last time? Nope, they just go land on the battlefield, gain 3 life. We needed to kill them last turn because they kind of overwhelm us with their value at this point. Kind of same with the last deck, right? So Uro draws cards, gains life, and then they just kind of go over the top with super powerful planeswalkers, and we can't really compete. Like, at this point in the game, we can't compete with them. They're going to attack and kill our Chandra, so I think we just lose, right? Like, Nissa is too strong, Uro gains them too much life, and we can't win, I don't think. We had our chance to wreak some havoc last turn, and they were able to counteract that with Brazen Borrower, so yeah. This happens now. Yeah, that's fine. We take the damage, of course. I'm going to go to my turn just to see what we would draw, but I think the game is lost already. They can gain too much, and Nissa's already getting to where she can ultimate. And we can't really stop her. If we want to win the game, we can't stop Nissa. Yeah, that's game. Okay. The only thing I could possibly do is... yeah, we don't have any instant or sorcery cards in our graveyard. They may even have a counterspell for this. Nope, no counterspell. They know that they can block us and destroy us, so I'll go ahead and concede. This is not going well. I thought this deck was going to be better, and this is actually going pretty poorly so far. Like, I feel like we're close in every game, but we don't have the, like... we're kind of missing out on some of our super powerful, like, turn 4 and 5 stuff. Oh, excuse me. We got Torbran in game 1, but we kind of ran out of steam against that mono black deck, and we were very close to beating them. But that deck, against that deck, it's really hard to compete if we don't win super early. This is a hand I think we have to keep, essentially. So we get Runaway Steamkin turn 2, generates a lot of value. So does Cavalcade. So last game, what we needed was Cavalcade and or Torbran to win the game, and we didn't draw either. So hard to keep up against a deck that's running Nissa's, because Nissa is really, really strong against us. Mire Triton. Okay. Little Death Toucher. So every deck we've played against has ways to gain life, which is just really brutal for us. Really brutal. So we don't attack because Mire Triton blocks and kills Runaway Steamkin. I want to wait till both of these Runaway Steamkins are on the field, and then I can cast Bone Crusher Giant to buff them up, and we actually get a lot of value out of that, so should be good. Another Mire Triton, which is actually kind of okay because we have 2 Bone Crusher Giants here. We can kill them both, and we can do a pretty substantial amount of damage. So let's go ahead, stomp you. That's right, boy. This is actually quite a good hand. So we stomp you. The only issue so far in this game is that they've gained life. Let's think about this. If I go... boop, boop, doo, 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 doo. I'm going to go... I'm going to play Bone Crusher now. Wait, cancel. No, this is the most damage I'm going to have this turn. So we'll go ahead and attack. And then I get both of the Bone Crushers because I can go boom, pay with Runaway Steamkin's ability, and then it puts a counter on you. Then I can pay for the other Bone Crusher with Runaway Steamkin's ability. So great start. Double Runaway Steamkin is broken, essentially. I'm going to be really, really sad. I might even cry if they board wipe right here, but I don't think they're going to be able to, right? Ritual of Soot is the only thing they could have, and I just don't see them running that or having that in hand. Okay, Glowspore Shaman. So they're doing Jund Control, I think, with Klothys and etc. So let's go ahead. Cavalcade of Calamity. Yeah. So we want to get our Runaway Steamkins to 4/4s, and they concede. Okay, so we had a super strong start there. That was wonderful. I liked that a lot. I mean, Runaway Steamkin has always been very strong, and it still is very strong. And we've got 4 of that in this deck. So if you were making a mono red, and you're like, what's one card I want to have in every mono red deck? Maybe not in every mono red deck, but I'd probably say Runaway Steamkin, because it's bonkers. It's good. It's really good. So let's go into another game, see if we can get another win. Those first 2 losses were a little bit fluky. I felt like we could have won those games if things had gone a little bit differently, so I think we can actually get some wins here. And this is a really wonderful hand. Have we gone first in every game? Sorry, I feel like I'm all over the place in my commentary here, but pretty sure I've gone first in every game I've played for this video. Fervent Champion. They don't attack. Okay, so we go Castle Embereth. I'm gonna go Bone Crusher, kill Fervent Champion, and attack. Okay, they don't have a play there. I'm gonna go... So we're probably gonna do Torbran next turn. So let's go ahead and get out Chandra, because that makes Torbran really good for next turn. And then we'll just attack all. Take him to 14. Alright, what do you got? What do you got? Annex, Hardened in the Forge. Okay. Very well, sir. Yeah, we go Torbran, right? We just do that. Because both of the creatures we attack with here, or all three of the creatures we attack with, which I'm going to attack all, right? Like, that deals 3 damage with Scorch Spitter, and they block this, and I kill Annex. It creates a 1-1, which is not great, but we've almost won the game already, just because we have Chandra and Torbran on the field, which is too good of a combo, basically. And this Satyr can't even block, so yeah.
Hey, these little guys are great.
I mean, what do they do? They lose, right? We do have to block. Well, I guess it's possible they could kill Chandra, which would make me a little bit sad, but I think we should win anyway. No, wait. Yeah, we block that, because that stays on the board. These are going to get sacrificed. If they have a shock, they can kill Chandra.
I thought this was a sparring match.
But I don't think they can kill Torbran, so they kill Chandra, but we win next turn because we have Rimrock Knight, so... GG, opponent. GG. But we'll do this anyway. We'll Runaway Steamkin first. Boo-ba-doop-ba-doop-ba-doop-ba-doop-ba-doop. That's a game. And that's how you do it, folks. We kill them. Mono red v mono red. Easy dubs. Easy dubs. I mean, mono red against mono red is usually like about who goes first and who has removal earliest. And we had both of those. So, yeah. We had a distinct advantage over them. We'll get in one more game here just to see maybe a different matchup that y'all haven't seen yet. And as we jump into this game, let me remind you, if you have comments about this deck, if you love it, if you hate it, if you have thoughts you want to share about it, let me know in the comments below. I do really like to read that stuff. I like to kind of discuss these things because I am not I do like to be a know-it-all, but I also don't know everything. I'm aware of that fact, and so I would like people's input. It's great. And if you enjoy the video, do drop a like on it, and if you want to see more from me, subscribe, baby. Okay, so we're going second. But that's fine. We've got Fervent Champion. We attack. Get that 1 damage in. 1 damage in. I can't be stopped. Okay, Dimir Spybug. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, I actually just attack here. I know they can't do anything, and Fervent Champion's got first strike. So we'll go to first strike damage. Whatever. We'll go Runaway Steamkin. If I hadn't drawn Runaway Steamkin there, I probably would have just Bone Crusher Gianted this. So the Thought Eraser, probably get rid of Torbran. And this becomes a 2-2. But they know that I can kill it with Bone Crusher Giant on my turn. So the Surveil gives this a counter. I wonder if they attack here. They do attack because they know that I'm probably going to kill it anyway, so that seems smart. But let's go ahead and kill it before it gets out of range. Wait, they missed the 3rd land drop, so that's really nice. Yeah, it doesn't really matter what we cast that on. We just do a ton of extra damage, so we take them to 12. We got big old plays next turn. Oh, okay, we don't have big old plays next turn. We have boo-boo plays next turn. Let's go Rimrock Knight, and so we can hold Bone Crusher Giant as a possible removal on their turn. But I think they lost because they haven't hit their land drops, so this feels like game over already. Nightveil Sprite. Okay, I think we kill that. Yeah, we'll kill that, just because it's a blocker that we can't really attack through, so we need to get rid of it, and then we'll just do this. So how much damage can we do? We do 1 plus 3 plus 1 from Fervent Champion's ability, so that's 5. We could go an extra 2 from Castle Embereth, so that'd be 7, take him to 4. But I think we play a little smarter than that. We will probably play Bone Crusher just to make sure that if they have removal, we can keep stuff on the board. So even if they have removal, we still win the game next turn. Yeah, I'll play Scorch Spitter. I guess it's possible they could draw into a swamp and have a Cry of the Carnarium. But they drew Mystic Sanctuary, Dimir Spybug, that's game. GG, fellas. Okay, this deck turned out pretty well. I was a little bit suspect at the beginning, but this was very good. We kind of ran people over. I love it. I love it. It's great. I kind of hate on mono red a lot, but this is a deck that's like actually nuanced enough that I feel good about playing it. I think that my biggest complaint about this deck is that it doesn't have it's not Scorch Spitter. What's it called? Nope, not Scampering Scorcher. It's an elemental. Why can I not think? Chandra Spitfire. Chandra Spitfire is really strong in Cavalcade decks. But of course, it is a 3-drop, so it's a little bit hard to actually set up the Cavalcade of Calamity, Chandra Spitfire combo. So it's a little bit slower, so I kind of understand playing Rimrock Knight instead, which I think is the switch. So a lot of decks will play Chandra Spitfire and not play Rimrock Knight. I think this is a fine adjustment, but I'm kind of attached to Chandra Spitfire, so that's definitely an option. If you were building a mono red like this on your own, Chandra Spitfire is definitely an option. Stuff like Thunderkin Awakener is also an option. As if you're buying in paper, this is probably a budget option or budget choice because I don't think this card is expensive. I don't know the price off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure it's fairly cheap. Of course, if you're playing in Arena, you're not going to buy the Challenger deck anyway, but also this costs a rare wild card. So yeah, just keep that stuff in mind. I really enjoyed this deck. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments below. If you want to see the rest of these videos, do subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when I publish them. It has been fun. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.